campus rent to be higher than the citywide average.
The Texas Supreme Court rules the university can revoke degrees for academic misconduct.
And 3 motorcyclists are fatally shot along I-45.
You're watching Texas News Primetime.
News made for Longhorns. Good evening, and welcome to Texas News Primetime. For Monday, April 17th, I'm Hope Vanderburg.
And I'm Sophia Kurz. Thank you for joining us.
For Primetime on campus, the Moody College of Communication has named Rachel Davis Mersey as interim dean effective June 1st. Mersey is currently Associate Dean for Research and holds the Jesse H. Jones Centennial Professorship in the School of Journalism and Media. She will serve as interim dean during the college's nationwide search process to fill the full-time position. Current Moody Dean Jay Bernhardt will be leaving this position after 8 years effective May 31st to serve as the president of Emerson College in Boston, Massachusetts. The rent prices in UT's West Campus are higher than Austin's citywide average, according to data from Apartment List. The housing boom in West Campus, coupled with high land and development costs, have played a role in West Campus's high rent prices. According to Berkadia, UT currently has the highest bed count in the nation at 5,522 for student housing projects currently being constructed. The City of Austin's College Student Commission, composed of representatives from UT and 4 other Austin area colleges, is working with the city to find affordable housing solutions for students. The Texas Supreme Court recently ruled that both UT and Texas State University can revoke degrees of former students for academic misconduct. This comes as students from both universities filed lawsuits against the school attempting to revoke their doctorate degrees for academic misconduct discovered later on. UT and Texas State argued for this right to, quote, not only protect their reputations, but to maintain the value of the degrees, end quote. This ruling allows the universities to revoke degrees as long as due process is given and the misconduct justifies revocation. There is also no time limit for the investigation and revocation period in such cases.
For Primetime locally, a 4th body has now been pulled from Lady Bird Lake. However, the most recent body was found near Longhorn Dam rather than Rainey Street. The person has not been identified yet, and police aren't positive about how long the body has been in the lake. Additionally, medical examiners have yet to release the cause of death. Police patrols around Rainey Street began last weekend, and park rangers were stationed along the Ann and Butler hike and bike trail to ensure the safety of Austinites. These incidents have raised the eyebrows of many Austinites, but Austin Police Department has stated that as of right now, nothing criminal has played into these cases. On Saturday, the first ever Two-Step In attracted a crowd of 30,000 country music fans. Fans came ready with lawn chairs and blankets in hand to jam out to artists like Tyler Childers, Tonga Tucker, T-Pain, and Zach Bryan. The festival took over Georgetown's San Gabriel Park, transforming the quiet area into a full-fledged rhinestone-studded rodeo. Georgetown residents expressed concerns surrounding the concert, including increased levels of traffic and neighborhoods being used for parking. An investigation into what caused a 2010 Nissan GT3 to catch fire on the Interstate 35 southbound frontage road near the Stastny Lane exit has been launched. Austin Fire Department was called to fight the fire on Saturday evening. Traffic delays only lasted about an hour, and traffic was back to normal by around 7 p.m.
For Texas News, in an internal complaint, Representative Brian Slayton of Roy City is alleged to have had sexual relations with an intern. The complaint was filed to the House General Investigating Committee by a legislative staffer. The complaint alleges that Slayton invited an intern under the age of 21 to his Austin apartment after 10 p.m. on March 31st. A full version of the complaint on the Quorum Report states that the intern disclosed that she had sexual relations with Slayton that night. A Mesquite ISD substitute teacher was fired and arrested after encouraging students to fight one another during class. The substitute, Natalie Garcia, is being charged with 4 counts of child endangerment. An investigation has revealed that Garcia outlined rules for the students to follow and even instructed a student to monitor the door while the fight was taking place. Garcia, who had been working for the district since March 6th, was fired this past Thursday. 4 motorcyclists believed to be connected to an outlaw gang were shot in Houston, with 3 dying of fatal injuries. The gunfire began along Interstate 45 between Houston and Huntsville. All 3 victims were wearing clothing that indicated they were a part of a motorcycle outlaw gang. Investigations are taking place under the Montgomery County Police Sheriff's Office and the Huntsville Police Department. So far, no arrests have been made.
For PrimeTime Nation, this past Friday, the suspect in the leak of classified Pentagon documents, Jack Teixeira, was found in North Dighton, Massachusetts. Teixeira appeared in court Friday following his arrest and has been charged under the Espionage Act due to unauthorized removal of classified information and defense materials. The documents that were leaked included eavesdropping on key allies and assessments on the state of the Ukraine war. Teixeira has not entered a formal plea yet. Thousands of Iowa residents are expected to lose both Medicaid and food stamp benefits under a bill which was given final legislative approval on Thursday and sent to Governor Kim Reynolds' office. The approved bill would change eligibility requirements for those seeking Medicaid and SNAP benefits, which would result in the removal of roughly 8,000 Medicaid recipients and 2,800 recipients of food stamps. Iowa Democrats argue that the bill creates more barriers for Iowans struggling with high food and housing costs, and that a high percentage of those affected are children and people with disabilities. Iowa Republicans, however, believe that cuts to the program preserve its longevity and protect the people who need it most. A trio of healthcare bills in Denver, Colorado were passed into law this past Friday, ensuring statewide access to abortions, gender-affirming procedures, and medications. According to Democratic Governor Jared Polis, the main goal of the legislation is to ensure people in surrounding states and beyond can come to Colorado to receive abortions or gender-affirming care without fear of prosecution. Colorado now joins Illinois in offering reproductive health care to residents of conservative states on 3 of its borders for Colorado. These include Wyoming, Oklahoma, and Utah, each of which currently have some form of abortion ban. Currently, California and New York are also looking into the possibility of signing bills similar to that of Colorado.
For Primetime World, the Office of the Dalai Lama issued an apology after a controversial video surfaced online. Dalai Lama, who is the Tibetan spiritual leader, was seen sticking his tongue out and asking a young boy to suck his tongue in the video. The Dalai Lama's office claims his actions in the video were lighthearted and apologies for any hurt caused. 4 years after overthrowing the country's authoritarian leader, Sudan's capital has become a battleground again as 2 rival military groups fight for control. The fighting has caused chaos throughout the country as battles over control of the presidential palace, airport, and other key sites continue. Sudan is Africa's 3rd largest country by area and is located at an important geographical point. The U.S. has been trying to influence Sudan while the Kremlin is seeking to dock warships on Sudan's Red Sea coastline. This past week, the Italian Coast Guard rescued more than 2,000 migrants from the Mediterranean Sea. Around 86 passengers on board died, including 30 children under the age of 12. Authorities are concerned about the number of people fleeing Africa and attempting to cross this dangerous pass to Europe, as this is not the first time the Italian Coast Guard has rescued migrants sailing near the coast of Italy. According to the United Nations, almost 28,000 migrants have arrived by sea to Italy this year. Humanitarian organizations in Europe are calling for countries like Italy to devote more resources to dealing with these arrivals as more people risk their lives to flee war and poverty.
For Primetime Verifies, following an order from Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, the abortion pill mifepristone will remain available until at least Wednesday. In early April, a federal judge in Texas suspended the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's approval of the drug, a decision that was made by the FDA in 2000. The suspension was appealed by the Biden administration, and a U.S. appeals court allowed the drug to remain on the market. Though some actions taken by the FDA post-2016 that made access to the drug easier were blocked. Now, the Supreme Court has stepped in to preserve access to the drug until at least Wednesday, allowing time for the court to make a decision on the case. After the break, we'll have Rayon Sheikh coming on for business and Paisley Porter tell us all about STEM. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
I'm Hope Vanderburg here at TSTV News headquarters, and you're watching Texas News Primetime. Welcome back to Texas News Primetime. Joining us now is Primetime business correspondent Rayon Sheikh. How are you doing today, Rayon?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Well, why don't you tell us about this week's business news?
First, New York-based financial company JP Chase has reported record profits this quarter. The company reports an increase of 52% from the same quarter last year. The company is the largest bank in the United States and holds an important position in the economy's strength. CEO Jamie Dimon said that while the U.S. economy is in healthy footing, Americans should still be prepared for a recession. Additionally, Dimon told investors he was not worried about the so-called credit crunch after the banking crisis. Companies, however, should expect interest rates of loans to be higher than normal due to the risk of recession. Warner Bros. Discovery announced its plans for the streaming service HBO Max last Wednesday. The new service would combine Discovery Plus and HBO Max into a single service being rebranded to Max. This comes after they announced the cancellation of multiple shows last month, including Legendary and Gossip Girl. After the announcements, outrage was sparked on social media as many users were quick to mock the new name. The stock of Warner Bros. Discovery also fell 6% due to the announcement, lower than the overall market and those of other media shares. Streaming services have shown to plateau in recent times as consumers are less likely to spend more money on a wider variety of services. The combination of streaming services is the industry's next idea to bring more people to their platform. Finally, Tesla announced this week that it would be cutting prices in India, Israel, and Europe. Tesla this quarter has been struggling after it reported an increase of just 4% over the quarter, despite cutting prices in the United States, China, Japan, South Korea, and Australia. These discounts were meant to spur demand. However, Tesla's disappointing quarter shows that it didn't exactly go to plan. In 2022, the company also missed Musk's goal of 50% growth, holding at only 40%. Tesla is the world's most valuable automaker. However, struggles to grow could pave the way for other companies to take their spot.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Rayon. Next up, here to bring us up to date in the world of STEM, we have Paisley Porter. How are you doing today, Paisley?
I'm wonderful, Hope. How are you?
I'm great. Why don't you bring us up to date in STEM news from this past week?
Absolutely. Thousands of Environment Agency workers in England started striking on Friday over claims of low pay. The strike, which was scheduled to end this morning, saw staff working on fires, river pollution, and flood defenses walk out. While Unison, the workers' trade union, said the government hadn't engaged in paid talks with them since the start of the strike. The government stated that representatives are meeting with the unions. The strike follows months of action by workers who argued that the government's 2% pay offer was not enough to combat inflation. Currently, the average salary and benefits for an agency worker is around 36,000 euros. A recent survey published Thursday revealed that about 100,000 registered nurses in the United States left the workforce due to the stresses of the COVID-19 pandemic. The survey, published by the National Council of State Board of Nursing, also found that another 800,000 registered nurses plan to leave the workplace by 2027 due to stress, burnout, or retirement. Additionally, the results showed that almost half of the nurses surveyed said that they feel fatigued or burnt out. The author of the study, Marianne Alexander, said the shocking findings, quote, will send us into a healthcare crisis of huge proportion, end quote. New images from the James Webb Telescope show thousands of distant galaxies in the deep field, revealing the telescope's unprecedented power. Nearly a decade ago, the same high-resolution imagery of the deep field took the Hubble telescope over 11 hours to capture. The James Webb Telescope did the same in 20 hours. These images and the Webb Telescope's capabilities allow astronomers to understand the galactic properties in the early universe better while they hunt for the first galaxies.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Paisley. Next up, after the break, we'll have Ethan Ferguson coming on for our segment of Press Box on Primetime. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
I'm Madeline Lambert here at TSTV News Headquarters, and you're watching Texas News Primetime.
Welcome back to Texas News Primetime. Joining us now for a segment of Press Box on Primetime, we have Ethan Ferguson. Ethan, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Hope. Thanks for having me today.
All right, Ethan, why don't you give us some sports highlights from this past week?
Well, it was an action-packed weekend for athletics on the 40 acres, but we'll start with a trip up to Waco, where Texas baseball took on Baylor in an in-conference matchup. The Longhorns finished a 3-game matchup against Baylor, where they went 2 for 3, beating the Bears 7-6 in a super close matchup on Sunday. Having trailed the game 5-3 at the beginning of the 7th, it was Eric Kennedy who hit the clutch solo home run to give the Longhorns the edge. Kennedy went 3 for 5 on the day and has been improving ever since. Now, number 19 in the nation, the Longhorns have a 26-12 record and will travel back to Austin to face Abilene Christian as well as their rival, the Oklahoma Sooners, next. And as well as baseball, it was also a huge weekend for men's and women's tennis. The number 1 overall men's side took home the Big 12 championship with a 5-3 win over number 3 TCU. This is the 3rd regular season title in the last 4 years that the men's team has been able to get. And this gives the Longhorns an opening round bye in the Big 12 tournament, which is set to start at the end of this week in Lawrence, Kansas. As for the women's side, they claimed their own regular season Big 12 title, topping Baylor 6-1. They do, however, share this title currently with the Oklahoma Sooners and will look to claim it as their own heading into tournament play. And spring football is officially back on campus now, with the orange and white game taking place this weekend. It was quarterbacks Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning who were at the front of attention going into the game. Spectators were curious to see who would outperform the other, but surprisingly, it was Malik Murphy who made a splash. The race remains open, and it will be interesting to see what decision Steve Sarkisian makes moving forward.
How cool is it that both the men's and women's tennis teams both got the Big 12 championship titles from this season? What do you expect from them in the conference play?
Well, Hope, it's a great time to be a UT Longhorns fan. Obviously, the tennis programs for both men's and women's have been very successful as of recently. I'm expecting very big things from them in the Big 12 tournament and hopefully wins all around.
Yeah, we are hearing that the Longhorn Foundation is launching the United Texas Circle for Texas Athletics. What does this mean and what is it?
Well, what it is it's a philanthropic event through UT Athletics that is used to help fund different athletes and their endeavors moving forward. So it's going to be a very big beneficial thing for UT Athletics, and I'm very excited for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today, Ethan. Next up, after the break, we'll have Julia Mia coming on for entertainment. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back shortly.
Welcome back to Texas News Primetime. Here now for this week's entertainment, we have Julia Mia. How are you doing today, Julia?
I'm doing great. It was an exciting weekend for entertainment this weekend.
Do tell.
Well, this weekend, we saw the annual return of the long-running music festival Coachella, with performances like artists from like Bad Bunny, Boy Genius, and Blondie, plus the long-awaited return of Frank Ocean. Many people believed this festival would be one of the greatest. However, attendees have noted multiple issues at the festival, including high pricing, late performers, and the Frank Ocean concert being cut short due to curfew.
What were some of the standout performances in your opinion?
Well, I don't know if you're in your sad girl hours like me, but I was so excited that Frank Ocean kind of hinted at maybe a new album coming up. And, you know, I love to play that on repeat whenever I'm feeling sad. So it's just going to be fun for us. But that was really a standout thing. A lot of people were talking badly about his performance on social media and things like that. So I thought that was an interesting response from audiences.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I am in my sad girl music era. White Ferrari, always on replay.
Oh, yes.
So what else is happening in entertainment news this week?
Yeah, on Tuesday, Stranger Things actress Millie Bobby Brown announced her engagement to longtime boyfriend Jake Bon Jovi. The pair began dating back in 2021 after meeting through mutual friends, and the announcement saw a wave of support from fans and celebrities alike, congratulating the pair on their relationship.
What was the social media response to this engagement?
You know, people surprisingly reacted really well despite the fact of how young she is. I know for me, she's younger than me, which is like crazy. And I was like, wow, I can't even keep a promise to myself. So I can't imagine keeping a promise to a man like that. But if anyone screams maturity, it is Millie Bobby Brown.
What else is going on in entertainment news this week, Julia?
Over on HBO, television series Succession, currently on its 4th season, has been hailed as one of the greatest television series of all time. Recently, it broke the long-running record held by Breaking Bad for an IMDb score of 10 out of 10 for a single episode after the airing of its 3rd episode. The recent episode also brought in a series high for the show with over 2 million viewers. As HBO transitions into Max, analysts hope the success of Succession's final season can help keep viewers on the platform.
Interesting. Have you personally watched Succession, or?
Honestly, girl, I have ADHD, so I literally watch like South Park every night or something that is like super fast paced. But you know, this really made me want to watch it. Just seeing all the raving reviews about it, and obviously we all want to go to entertainment and things like that, and it's supposed to be loosely based on a real family and entertainment. So I thought that was super cool.
Wow.
But yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to check it out myself. But until then, thank you for coming on today, Julia. And as a reminder for our viewers, early voting for statewide elections runs from Monday, April 24th through Tuesday, May 2nd, with the general election happening Friday, May 6th. Voting resources can be found on PrimeTime social media. As always, you can follow Texas News PrimeTime and TSTV News on social media just by searching. Also, take us with you on the go by subscribing to our podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. From all of us here at TSTV News, thank you for starting your week with us this evening. Now, go out and change your world.